cooperatives are already taking on the work of the Sustainable Development Goals. The SDGs are therefore an opportunity for cooperatives to translate that work into the Global 2030 Agenda and to unify themselves under a common campaign.
Cooperatives, by their very nature, given their primary objective, which is enhancing the well-being of individuals and communities, their objectives coincide with that of the Sustainable Development Goals. There's considerable congruence between the two objectives. When you enhance the lives of individuals and communities, you actually are impacting socioeconomic goals such as poverty, education, self-empowerment, healthcare. So essentially, co-op seems to be a natural partner in the achievement and pursuit of achieving the goals of sustainable development.
One thing, we have about 15,000 cooperatives registered in Kenya across all sectors of the economy, and especially in the agricultural sector. The cooperatives there are likely, and they have been doing a lot to help the implementation of SDG 1 and 2.
Among 17 goals of SDGs, I think first goal is very crucial, end of poverty in its all forms everywhere. And in Japan is generally regarded as wealthy countries. However, problem of poverty is very, very crucial in Japan right now. And cooperative in Japan have played a very important role in supporting people suffering from poverty. And we can do more, I think.
The sustainable development is in the DNA of cooperatives. Just look at being social, economic, and environmental sustainability, which then makes up a cooperative, and especially from which the cooperative were made.
Coming from Canada, we have a very strong network of co-ops with apex organizations, and I believe that cooperation among co-ops, principle number 6, is key for the contribution of cooperatives to the Sustainable Development Goals, working together to find common solutions and really always thinking about how can we do more with others in our own countries and beyond to achieve the goals.
So I think co-ops everywhere have good potential to fulfill the Sustainable Development Goals, because one of the features of the Sustainable Development Goals is they talk about the interconnectedness of development and how all of the pieces fit together. And co-ops, by their nature, because they're built on communities and they're rooted in local communities and by local people, co-ops have multiple outcomes. So they may come together to form a specific need, such as access to finance or access to markets, but because they bring people together, they have multiple outcomes. So in coming together to meet an economic need, they also come together, they start to develop social cohesion and all of the benefits that has in concern for the community. So I think everywhere co-ops have good potential to support the Sustainable Development Goals.
So their potential is very large because they can reach the most diverse population. They are very inclusive. Their principles prevent any discrimination, so their openness is one of their principles, as well as the concern for the community. Democracy is one of the main values that they uphold, and this makes them a very important tool to reach the SDG goals by 2030.
But now in Canada, what we see is that co-op are not only used to solve social problems, but also to fulfill aspirations of peoples. So that now we have co-ops, plumbers co-ops, electrician co-ops, and architects co-ops, because they choose that model because it fits with their values.
I think cooperatives have a lot to contribute to reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm an agricultural economist, so I think that their contribution to eradication of poverty and their contribution to feeding the world are key nowadays. I see that we are doing work in India, we are doing work in Africa, but also in Europe, and we see that there's an immense role that cooperatives are already playing in this field.
But fundamentally, cooperatives have been working from since inception in the area of enhancing human development, and in particular, the more disadvantaged and marginalized section of the population. So, and now that the social development goal have been decided upon, they fit into the agenda naturally of cooperatives. So it's a question of seeing where the programs overlap and to extract out those elements that already form part of the cooperative agenda.